I remember when I was in middle school, I was anxiously awaiting the results of my math exam. My teacher took me aside privately, put his hands on my shoulder and said, "Well, Jayce, you didn't pass. But it wasn't due to a lack of effort." Now that was supposed to make me feel better, I know. But the message I got was, "Good try, but you're just not as smart as your friends." Turns out, wasn't true.
This episode of XDA Developer TV is brought to you by Sony Mobile and the new Sony Xperia Tablet Z, now on sale at store.sony.com/tablet. Be sure to check out Sony Mobile's YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sony Xperia Dev.
Developer World.
Welcome back, XDA crowd. My name is Jayce, and I confess it, I suck at math. No, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking lots of people suck. No. Trust me when I say that no matter how much you think you suck at math, I suck more. I failed every math class from grade 6 right on through to graduation in high school. How is that possible, you ask? Well, I've learned through my adulthood that the people learn through different learning styles. And although I was a hardworking student and I got, average to well above average marks in other courses, math would bring my average way down. In high school, we had advanced, general, and basic in every course, and if you wanted to go on to university, you had to take advanced in pretty much everything. And so that was a struggle with me. But something happened in grade 7. I had a supply teacher for a time, and this lovely woman took me aside after school and invited me for some extra help, which I had done many times before. I had gone into spares, gone over lunch, got a tutor, but nothing really helped my math studies until I met this woman. She had only spent about 20 minutes with me after class going over the tests that I inevitably failed. And something happened. I don't know how she did it or what she did exactly to this day. 25 years later, it's still a bit of a mystery, but it was like a cloud lifted. Not only did I understand the content, but I was getting 95% plus in these redo tests. What the bleep was going on? So when I met Adam Lepoux, the co-founder of the Delta program, who is a learning architect, a light bulb went off in my head when I heard him say this.
There's an overlap between people who enjoy math and people who enjoy development, but you don't need to be one or the other to be good at both. I think the overlap really is in about the refinement of solutions, the refinement, the enjoyment of problem solving. And really, it's more about, okay, I just solved this problem this way. Is there another way I can solve it? How can I refine my solution? Maybe there's a step that I could have done a little faster, or would have been better done another way. And so that's the piece that, if that's something that's rewarding to you, if you get frustrated because your solution's not like, that's really good, and you want to make it better, and then you're rewarded when you feel like it's really refined and you get feedback from your peers that like, oh yeah, that's great. That's the kind of people that really are successful as developers.
Adam's calling is to design intensive learning programs that help the committed student become a professional Android developer. That's so important, I'm going to say that again. Adam's calling, the thing that he does the best, is to design intensive learning programs for the committed student to become a professional Android developer. Feels good to say it. Now, this is the condensed, highlighted 10-minute version. If you want the full extended version, again, you can go to the How to Become TV channel and watch the full thing there. It's about an hour. Here we go. Watch the end of the interview for this week's recommendations.
A lot of people talk about learning styles these days, learning differences. In actuality, we have a lot more in common in the way we learn than you might think. The research shows that pretty much every human being on the planet learns along 3 different mechanisms. One is kind of the social mechanism, who you collaborate with, who you interact with. Another piece is the what you build, make, or do. It's what we call the constructivist model. And then the third piece is how you kind of reshape what you know. It's basically how we get you to kind of prompt you to think about things in a different way, something where we help you kind of think about and observe the world and the craft from an expert's point of view. And so that's, it's really exciting to kind of bring those to bear for all the students. And then what we like to do at the Delta program is really to focus on, where there are differences in learning, both the styles and in terms of learning desires and what works. We kind of, it's like having a kind of a personal learning trainer, a coach that kind of walks you through that process. Oh, what's next? How do you add to your knowledge map, like we like to call it? And how do you take the next step in your learning? And we're there with you for it. A lot of education that occurs either in a university or online happens in a relative vacuum. It's isolated from the actual professional experience of the craft, specifically in things like Android development that just, they haven't found their way or filtered into many computer science programs. There aren't a lot of, by comparison, there aren't a lot of online programs for them. And they're just removed from the actual professional practice. So as a learning architect, I come in, I look at professionals. I do an ethnographic study, a cognitive task analysis of what professional developers are actually doing in their day. And, what we find is that it's actually, 70% of their day is debugging. And, another 20% is kind of working on implementing a new feature. And then 10% is kind of, overall strategy. And so it's a lot of kind of taking that information and then distilling it, kind of reverse engineering our curriculum from that. So that's where the learning sciences comes in, is like, okay, well, how do you start with a professional practice and find the steps between that and the novices coming into the room who are excited about learning that professional practice?
Yeah,
well, one of the things about that's neat about our program is we take the environment that you'd actually be doing your job in. You have a lead developer that's kind of helping you through the implementation of features. You're debugging constantly. You're doing the kinds of practices and you're collaborating in the way that professionals do. So when you get into the job, you're not having to learn that part of it. You've already got that part from the learning environment where you learned the fundamentals and the skills. And so it's a much smoother transition into the work world, into actual application development. And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, and that's the model that, honestly, we think everyone should be working with. We think universities should be employing that more. We think other education, the online education, should find ways to actually facilitate that experience of, rather than the curriculum existing in isolation, the content existing kind of on its own in loose bits of facts, actually putting it into context. Into the community of actual practice, where this craft is being done, these skills are being employed.
Now, thanks needs to go out to XDA senior member Cinco Drama, who gave me some recommendations of some Android learning tutorials and tools. I have them in the links below. There's a Android gaming tutorial, and there's a free Java course that you can check out. Check them out, and thanks Cinco Drama for them, and let me know how they work. See you next week.